Hey guys, we are back for day 2 of Czech Combat 2024. This is the inaugural Czech Combat match put on by CZ and Cellier and Belat, with a whole bunch of the hard work being done by Be Ready. So those guys all did a great job. We had a great bunch of range officers, and today, day 2, we're jumping in at stage number 7. Now, this one, instead of your own rifle, you were equipped with an HK MP5, a fully select fire, fully functional MP5. So first off, you had to grab a battering ram out of the back of the truck and then run the rest of the way up into this side bay of the range. There's a paper target right at the beginning that you have to engage with. Well, with anything, actually. It was really up to you where you wanted to use your pistol or the MP5. Now, there were enough targets past the door, we knew how many were in there, that I wanted to use the MP5 on those, and so I deliberately used my pistol out here. Once I engaged those couple of targets, you then load a round of 12 gauge into a breaching shotgun, shoot the little wooden plank out of the door, and then you have to use the battering ram to knock the door open. I did the super tactical thing of breach the door and then think to actually chamber and put my MP5 on full auto. So yeah, while standing right in the doorway. There were stages in this match that were intended to be shot in a tactically correct manner, and I can't think of a less tactically correct manner to do them than that. So you do have a couple of no-shoot targets here. Those are the ones with the red X's. Engage everybody else with a bunch of hits, and then this is deliberately set up so that you do not have enough ammo in the MP5 to engage this last one photographic hostage target. So I did that with my pistol. Ended up pretty decent on this stage. That wouldn't always be the case, though. Here we have a pretty short stage. This was a blind stage, so you didn't know what was inside this building, except that it had recently been on fire. It's supposed to simulate an artillery hit on a building, so you crawl in through a hole in the building. I'll have the camera guy go in the door here. It's a nice dark room. I was using a flashlight a bit to figure out what I'm doing. We didn't know where the targets were. Came through here, found a target out the window, so I engaged that guy, not a problem. And then I knew there were targets out the door. The door itself has the sill of the door is a fault line, so you can't go past it. And I had a little bit of like, how do I do this? Holding the spring-loaded or weighted door open with the muzzle of my rifle while engaging a couple of paper targets out the back. You can just barely see a swinger, a rising, falling target there. That's activated when you open the door. There's one left that I didn't see at first. It turns out he's out the window and back a little bit. So we'll go ahead and engage that guy. And as you can see, 111th out of 130. I was extremely slow at that stage. A lot of these stages are more fun than they are hardcore competition. This one is kind of a straight up IPSC, USPSA type stage. So you start by engaging a falling plate there, and then run this U-shaped course and engage all of the paper targets. This was a little bit tricky for a cameraman to follow because you were in areas like this, advancing, engaging some paper, and then retreating backwards. So I used the GoPro here. By the way, you may notice on a couple of these stages, I have my ear pro up on the helmet. I was wearing amplified in-ear protection the whole time, so I didn't actually need the earmuffs on the helmet, but I did have to have the helmet to do things like hold the GoPro. In fact, I was in heavy division, which meant I had to wear a helmet for the match. So we'll engage those couple. This looks kind of cool. Looking back at the footage, it looks pretty cool, but I was actually doing pretty poor shooting, and I had a whole sampler platter of scoring. Some alphas, a bunch of charlies, a bunch of deltas, one target that I managed to not engage at all. So didn't do all that well there. This was a fun one. This is one of those stages that is supposed to be shot in a tactically correct manner. So you're kind of bouncing back and forth between sporting competition and tactically proficiently correct in theory. I felt like I did this one really, really slowly, but you start by drawing the pistol and engaging out the door of the car. Once you've gotten those two targets, you have to open the car door, and they were very specific that you have to brace it open with your foot, because apparently it's pretty common for someone under stress to throw the door open hard enough that it just bounces right back shut. So engage a couple more targets here. I'm putting way more shots onto these guys than I need, but I wanted to be I wanted to make sure I had all the necessary hits. You're required to top up the pistol before you get out of the car, and then you have to stay below the level of the car, so you're staying at least somewhat within cover. Get your rifle out of the back of the car, and then engage paper targets in a tactically correct manner around the bumper. They didn't intend you to have a short-barreled rifle that demolishes the car's rear taillight, but whatever. Got a couple of targets there, and then a couple more over the hood of this car where you're required to have the muzzle on that wooden stick and keep your head down. So again, trying to stay as much behind cover as possible, which I found quite difficult with this little shorty Bren 2. That stick was far enough out that I had kind of a hard time getting the muzzle far enough out there. Tilting it over, not dumping the ejection port straight into the car hood. And so I ended up taking some chips out of the wood here. There's a lot of splinters flying around as a result of my shooting. So even worse on this one, 119th, a whole pile of penalties for poor engagements.
I shot so many extra rounds on that. The shooting honestly felt terrible. My recoil control, my sight pictures all felt like total garbage. So I was assessing my hits and making more hits, and that has got to be one of the most epically slow performances on this stage ever. But it was a stage where you were supposed to do it tactically correct instead of just raw, run, be out in the open. And so I feel like I did that pretty well, hopefully. If you guys cannot do this in half my time, you should just give up now and go home.
I was hoping you were going to say shots at the end.
All right, next your third.
Oh.
But hey, we're still having fun here. So stage 11 was a tunnel, a literal underground tunnel that they dug and built over the top of, which is super cool. You did not have your actual rifle for this stage. You had a Bren 2 with an MTX kit in it, and you were given 5 rounds. There were 5 targets in the tunnel, and you had to, once again, engage these in a tactically correct manner. So you had to use the rifle on the correct shoulder going around each corner. You had to only be exposed to 1 target at a time. Obviously, no good way for a camera guy to follow me into a tunnel like this, so I used the GoPro. This is a specific copy of tunnel architecture out of Ukraine, and I did extremely well on this one. This was like my best stage of the entire match, I think. And it was really fun. So once again, some long stages, a lot of fairly short stages, and almost as much of an exhibition experience style of match instead of straight up competition. So here's our last stage. This was also a semi-blind stage. You knew what you were doing, but you didn't know how many targets. You didn't know exactly where they were. So I have the GoPro here, and then I'm also being filmed from up on the berm alongside this range. Everything in a t-shirt is a no-shoot. So engage all of the rifle, and then you come back to this position here that has a doorway in it. Well, a window in it. You have to hold the string to hold the door open while engaging these targets with a pistol, and I just mag dumped the pistol till I completely ran out of ammo. And there we go. That was all of the extent of Czech Combat second day, Czech Combat 2024. This was a really fun match. I ended up doing decently. I was like almost exactly in the 50th percentile, which is really better than I thought I would do, but I feel like I was a bit off my game on some of those stages. And if I could do it over again, I definitely would, and I think I'd be able to do better a second time around. So big thanks to CZ, to S&B, to Be Ready for making this whole match possible. It was a lot of fun, and I will definitely go back next year if they decide to do it again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the videos. Thanks for watching.